Hello! This video is basically going through Charlatan Days from my album VX1, kind of going through my process and how I came up with this song. So I guess I'll start by going through just kind of like the songwriting and creation phase and how I came, like kind of going through the history of how the song came about, and then kind of transition over to look at the session of that song. So this session is pre-mix. It's kind of like it's the rough mix before I sent it. I did not mix this song, but this will kind of go over all like the ideas that I was passing off, and all the tracking that I did and all the editing and stuff, and kind of going through that process of how I put the song together. So yeah, first I kind of want to just go through like a little bit of the songwriting stuff. So usually when I'm going through a song and I'm trying to songwrite, a lot of times I'll come up with ideas on walks and whatever. And so I just use my phone and just get uh like short recordings. And so kind of stuff like this where I just on a walk, and I don't know where I was, but just like kind of going through it. And this is all, so I think up to like this is all in one day. And it's slowly dude. And I guess you'll hear it in around here where I started. So a lot of when I was songwriting this, one thing that I took a bit of inspiration from was Han. That's a YouTube link, but I decided to switch to Spotify. Where it's like I was kind of admiring their melody lines, and how simple a lot of them are, but like effective. It's like the melody line itself will be simple, but a lot of their songs kind of create behind that melody line and kind of uh, embellish it in a way with all the backing and whatnot. So I think the easiest example of that is this song, which is a bit older. I think at the time I was writing this song, I was obsessed with I think their next album after that. I forget what it was called. But anyway, this one here, you'll hear it right here, I guess. Warm on a cold night. Warm on a cold, cold night. So and that kind of just loops a bit. This is the chorus of the song, and it's like 4 notes, right? Warm on a cold night. Warm on a cold, cold night. Yeah, it's 4 notes. And so like if you go back and listen to like the Charlatan Days lead, if I solo it and I disabled all the bus tracks, but Charlatan Days, there's no love, no time, no patience for you. Charlatan Days. That's also 4 notes, but it's like I was admiring a lot of their melody lines and kind of like how it's just walking down a scale, you know. It's easy, but the creation of the song around that is what makes it what it is. So you can kind of hear me coming to that same kind of feeling through these recordings. But yeah, so I'll just like sing into my phone while I'm walking around, kind of softly, so hopefully no one hears me as much. But and kind of slowly refining it, trying to kind of run through some words, some rough lyrics maybe. You can kind of hear the verses forming too. A lot of times I'll take multiple things from some ideas. And I think around here is the next day where I kind of walked through it on the piano a little bit more and kind of refined those ideas. I think it was here, maybe not. Oh, okay, so more lyric stuff first. Oh, maybe it's over here. Yeah, so I think this is just working through some lyric stuff. And then I think I kind of tricked myself also with when I was recording on piano, when I was coming up with chords and stuff, but it ended up being a lot slower on piano. And I think when I went through and started actually working through the song and kind of arranging it and figuring out how all the voices and things came around, it ended up being a little bit slower than and a little bit quieter than I intentionally was thinking. I think there's just some more working through it on the piano. So then, yeah, so once I go through and I've kind of figured out all the chords and at least like a verse or some of the lyrics, I'll start doing arranging stuff. I kind of split the songwriting and arranging a lot of the time. So songwriting being like where I come up with the melodies and the lyrics and the chords, and then the arranging of where I figure out everything that goes behind that, is kind of, I guess some people call that producing. It's kind of in that same vein. It depends on like where, I don't know. I think producing, I tend to focus more on the instruments and it kind of comes a little bit later for me. I usually call it arranging first until I know what I'm doing. So the first, so VX1 as an album was as a challenge to myself, I guess. I wanted to make it entirely a cappella, so only voices. So, I guess first I would start though, just getting it onto the computer using MIDI, so I have an idea of what's going on. So this is kind of more of an electronic version. Oops. But you can kind of hear the piano slowness making it into these chords, where there's not much percussion going on, and it's a bit more just straight chords and voice.
I don't think I take no more. You don't need to hide it. I ain't gonna fight it. Charlatan days, no love, no time, no truth. I feel so lonely. If you care, then you lose. Charlatan days.
So there's a little bit of voice stuff in here. I'm just trying to figure out some chords and stuff. I think this is also a slower tempo, not just missing percussion. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I think it is. And I think this is one where I try to transition to all voice, and it doesn't work so well. Oh, here, yeah, I wrote notes. And it's kind of like a weird slow thing. I also realized this sounded a lot like a pentatonic song at the beginning. So then I was like, yikes. Let's see. But it was also just too slow for this song. But a lot of times this is what I'll do. I'll kind of go through and kind of just throw voices on everything. Just whatever comes to my head. I never wrote down any of this. I just kind of like sang to it and see what harmonies come forward. Sometimes that ends up working really well. In this case, it was a little awkward. I finally bring in the beat here, but it's alright. Let's see. Oh yeah, so at that point I realized something wasn't right, so I kind of went back and trying to go a little bit backwards to go put it back to electronics and try to add that beat that I was missing before. So it kind of reworked the feel a little bit, especially towards the beginning of the song. And I kind of ended up keeping that rhythm actually in the song, and you'll hear it in the session.
But I'm trying to recall if there was something I did. Your silence is killing me soft, ladies. Memories are killing me. Oh, and I don't think I'll take no more. You don't need to hide it. I ain't gonna fight it.
So you'll actually hear that in here. Oh, if I play it with the song. So yeah, so that rhythm that I came up with in that electronic version made it into the song.
Me and you, and I take no more. I'm done with all this break.
I think it's just mostly a loop through it this whole thing. Yeah. And then I finally came up with the intro, kind of working those acapella tracks back into it. It's kind of a raw intro, but it kind of started creating the feel of that song. I kind of wanted to make it feel like a little bit of an like a song you hear in an old radio or something like that. And still the electronics is kind of half and half right here. I worked that back into the end, which is what I kind of did in the rest of the song. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, this kind of. Oh yeah, this one's kind of ugly. Could I have like some crazy distortion over the whole thing for some reason? So I'll just do the next one. But essentially, just adding all the acapellas and stuff. This one adds in the bass too. And essentially we'll go through and kind of clean up a lot of that. And oh yeah, the outro kind of I kind of had it there for a little bit, where I have this like slower stuff happening. I think I added a melody line there pretty late in the process. Oh, I think this version is where I also added the. Oh no, maybe verse 2 textures. Yeah, in 1.09. So all that stuff I kind of added around here. But yeah, so that's kind of the process of getting through. Then also, obviously, we went through a bit of mixing decisions after that. But that's kind of like the song creation process. And the steps that I went through to get to the end. So I guess now I can kind of walk through the session, just give an idea of what the song is, I guess. And I'll start. I guess I'll go from all the way from the percussion all the way through to the end, just track wise. So I kind of. And you can see the organization here. This is kind of something that I got from Bill and the way he likes to mix. So I kind of organized this in a way that I kind of worked well between us. But essentially, when I look at my percussion tracks, I'll solo it a little bit so you get an idea. But essentially, on this song, I do it differently depending on the feeling I want for the song. But on this one, I wanted some level of kind of like natural sounding drum set a little bit. So I kind of have two sets. So if I really want something to sound only like kind of more electronic, I'll just use this drum machine, which is something I made of my own percussive sounds. So it's basically a drum machine of me. But essentially, when I use this, it kind of what the idea is get my best of one sound and just make it sound really nice. Each of these is a stereo track. So you'll hear it probably easier in like a snare or something. Where it is two of me on hard panned, so it kind of gives it more of that stereo feel, and it's just very clean is the way I do it. So then that way I can kind of really just drum machine it in there, and just and you can kind of just see it all laid out in the MIDI. So yeah, I do that if I want it to sound super super clean. If I want, especially if I want to like imitate like electronic sounding style track. This one is kind of like in the middle. So I also have like the raw. I have a raw, and this I've labeled it overheads. I guess apparently in the acapella world, a lot of times they'll label it a spit track, but this one's actually just two of me, hard panned again. All of these just for file size. When I'm sending it off, I've rendered these into stereo tracks, but it's two separate takes that are really cleaned up and edited, and I've panned them to the left and right. But this is so then you kind of mix those together for that kind of more filling sound. Let's see, and then the rest of these are kind of just sort of like things that don't quite fit in, like either one-offs or things that are like a little bit out of the normal session. Either like, and this is the like straight thing that I just did, so this kind of has everything in it. And this drum machine is kind of more like just the bass sounds. And I use the same drum machine over multiple tracks. So this one is pretty stable. So these are kind of things that don't fit in with either of those. So a lot of times if I wanted a longer sweep or something like that, like this is something I obviously can't do while I'm doing other beatboxing. So I kind of add this on later. Crashes are similar in that way. So you can add a bigger tail on them, because you don't have time if you're beatboxing like straight up in the song. You don't have time to go. You know, so especially things that need tails, a lot of times we'll throw them in a separate track. But essentially, like that's the percussion. It's just like the one thing about the percussion is there's just a ton of work, especially if you're doing these kinds of tracks, because it's just a lot of editing if you want to make it perfect, or just be really good. One of those two. I think there's some times where like I'll just nail it and then I won't have to do anything. But other times, like if it's really complicated percussion and I want it to be perfect, there's just a lot of editing that has to be done to make it fit in there. Let's see. But yeah, that's essentially the percussion. Let's see. Bass line. Yeah, so you'll notice all these tracks are stereo, and that's because I've actually like sang a left and a right track to just kind of fill space. The bass is a little bit different, just because we tend to mono the low frequencies anyway. But it still helps to like get that stereo track, so you can get like some of the higher weird stuff that happens in voice to kind of show up. I should probably turn off some of the filters. Oh yeah, so we got some like editing or whatever, but I think I used something else to pitch this maybe. I don't remember. So that's the AVB, so that's an octave lower. I think this naming is just because I shifted it a little bit because it was like a little bit off. Actually, let's keep it. I think the bass for this song was relatively straightforward. I think it was just a little bit harder to get it in sync because it's a little bit syncopated and whatnot. Especially with the rest of the tracks. Let's see. The intro is kind of fun. The intro in this song. I think where's that pitch thing too? Oh, did I turn it off? Or is it just automated? I think it's just automated. So obviously I wanted to kind of make that sound a little bit more electronic, or like glitchy. Um, and so like I added a lot of like that frequency stuff, and also I cut it. Like it was cut. Did I do that in the actual tracks? Yeah, I actually just hand cut those. So there's like I just sliced them, for that like. Oh yeah, and this is just so this intro thing actually, the thing that's getting pitched in, that's just a reverse of like here. So I was lazy and I didn't actually like. Yeah. So and then I just kind of added that pitch shift on there. And then we can show the automation on there too. Oops. You can kind of see just like the pitch shift, and then I think I used the fine for kind of that glitchiness that you'll hear throughout that kind of stuff. Yeah, so you can kind of hear it kind of pitch a little bit. But let's see. Yeah, I think oh yeah, the other thing that's kind of fun about this one is that I think I accidentally did this at first, and then then I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. How the higher notes are changing at a different rate than the lower notes, or not a different rate, but they change at a different time. So you hear it. I think I just accidentally offset those because I was looping them, and I kind of like dragged it out, and there were different length tracks, and I wasn't paying attention, so I just started at a different spot, like it started like 2 beats earlier or something like that, but then it ended up sounding cool, so I just kept it. Yeah, so then a lot of that. Oh, and this was let's see, I think I added it like an echo or something. Oh, that we cut that later, and I changed it to just use these, but it kind of transitions into like kind of a pad, and then I bring it back later. So, but let's see. So this is like a common pad I use throughout the whole thing, which is kind of what you heard in those earlier versions. So this is 3 sounds. Three sounds, so you can kind of hear. There's the first sound. There's the second sound. And then third one's a whistle. And you kind of combined them all. Oops. Okay, and this gate is kind of a MIDI track that I set up that I have just muted, but I'm using it to gate things, so it kind of makes it makes it like stay here. Oh, whoops, that's awkward. So without that, it just cuts it off a little bit more prematurely, just to make it sound a little bit more choppy is what I was kind of going for. Yeah. So that's that pad. It kind of just goes through most of the song. And a lot of time, and you'll hear like what Bill did in the actual mix is he kind of like took these 3 sounds and kind of at times would kind of just make one of them disappear a little bit more and make one of them come in a little bit more and kind of like transition around like that, which kind of added a lot more variation through different areas of the song, which was pretty nice. The lead is just the lead. I retract that a few times. The lead dub is just kind of filling it out for the choruses.
Charlatan Days. There's no love, no time, no patience for your Charlatan games.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. I split this up depending on where it started, just because there's a few variations in different things. I don't always do this. Sometimes I'll keep all the lead in one track. But it was a different enough during this section of the song where I kind of just split it up in everything because it makes it easier to like add effects and whatnot. I think part of the oh wait, let's see, is this is just a pad. Oh. Yeah, so usually what I'll do when I'm doing this acapella stuff is I kind of split up the naming between pads and harmonies. Being pads are vocal like background stuff that doesn't have words basically, and harmony is stuff that does have words for the most part. Oh, that was kind of, I forgot about that. Kind of filtering thing is kind of fun, but a lot of times they're kind of similar-ish. But let's see. I think I think I had one more. Yeah, but I think like oh yeah, this one's another one where I added a gate on a like kind of just a MIDI track that I added to make it easier way to make those cuts. But basically just the spacing you hear is where those beats are hitting. I guess we can hear it without that too, huh? Without the... Was that here? Yeah. So, otherwise it's just some notes. And again, a lot of these are probably, yeah, they're stereo tracks with 2 takes, panned hard to the left and right. A lot of times, the reason why I have them as one track is that it just makes it easier to affect if we consider all of these as kind of groups, and it's a single instrument. It just makes it easier to group everything, because otherwise there's like what? There's already 120 tracks, so if we doubled all that, it'd be like 200 something tracks, which is just a lot to work with. So it's easier if they're kind of just stereo when I pass them off, assuming that they're edited correctly. Don't think I can take no more. Yeah. So the harmonies are generally more word oriented. I really like the harmonies in this song and it added a lot of like fun stuff. I think especially right here, they kind of like take the highlight.
For your Charlatan games, it's too hard to start undo these Charlatan ways. I won't take more, and I'm done with all these Charlatan days. Charlatan days. Charlatan days.
Let's see. Yep. The
fight is over.
I think this is just. Yeah, it's just a little pad thing. Trying to remember actually why this lead is separated. Oh, I remember why this lead is separated actually. It wasn't an effects thing. It's that this was intended to actually be a duet and it ended up being not a duet. Just because it felt a little abrupt to have a different voice there. So I changed my mind.
This fight is over, but it's
so I could probably have combined those two. I might have when I actually pass them off. First one accent. Oh yeah, that's just filling up some space. Oh, that's chordals. I got obsessed with chordals at some point in this thing. It's, no, it's not. Okay, never mind. it's just some stuff. And ARP. It's like arpeggio thing. This is another one of those kind of like multi-sound things. If you didn't notice, there's like some whistling and some humming going on there. This is not like I like doing like a lot of those combination sounds. They kind of add a different thing that doesn't happen. I think people in like acapella stuff don't do enough of two different textures or sounds singing the same note, because it kind of combines in weird ways and has some fun things happen. And it kind of transitions between thirds and fourths. The fun thing also with this one is the chords underneath kind of are different than you'd expect, I think. You can also kind of hear, I kind of struggle at bass sometimes. It's not my normal vocal range. A lot of how the bass sounds has to do with effects. Just trying to do anything I can to beef it up. There's an octavizer on this one to get it sound lower. There's some just me struggling and trying to add a bunch of tracks so I can beef it up a little bit. Let's see, what's this? Oh yeah, this one's, I'm not actually cutting electronically. You can probably hear that one. I'm just doing it with my voice instead. I try to do stuff with my voice when I can, and then if it's not clean enough, then I'll try to do it electronically. If I really want it to be like super cut. But it kind of adds a little fun stuff when there's like a little bit of texture going on. We already listened to this stuff, but yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the track. I mean, there's a bit of stuff going on. Let's see, what's this? Oh yeah, this is like that outro melody stuff. That kind of came pretty late in the process. But yep. So that's kind of like a pretty quick walk through the thing. I guess I could play it once without effects or anything, just for fun. So you can kind of hear what the raw tracks mostly sound like. I'll keep some of the individual effects on, but then you can have some idea of what it sounds like. But yeah, cool. That's basically it. So thanks for listening. I hope some of this was useful. Yep.
Fighting's over, but I'm not really sure I believe what you say. My memory's older, but I'm trying to recall if there was something I did. Your silence is getting softly, these memories are killing me. Oh, I don't think I take no more. You don't need to hide it, you ain't gonna fight it. This fight is over, but I can't just ignore all these things that I see. This love is too hard. With all of this smoke, what you hiding from me? I'm scared what you say, so just tell me the truth. To clear up the air between me and you. And I don't think I can take no more. You don't need to hide it, I ain't gonna fight it. Charlatan days. There's no love, no time, no patience for you. Charlatan games. It's too hard to start to undo these charlatan ways. I won't take more, now I'm done with all these charlatan days. Charlatan days. The fight is over, but I'm not really sure how you think this will go. Do you really love me? Do you think what I've done is just fake or for show? I'm hiding some lies, you're hiding the truth. I'm all on my own, if you care then you knew. And I don't think I can take no more. You don't need to hide it, I ain't gonna fight it. This fight is over, but it's not because I don't disagree. This love is too hard to keep up with all of this misery. It's easier now that you've seen this obvious break between you and me. There's nowhere to go, no fix for this soul. I don't need to hide it, you ain't gonna fight it. Charlatan days, no love, no time, no patience for you. Charlatan games, it's too hard to start to undo these charlatan ways. I won't take more, now I'm done with all these charlatan days. Charlatan days, charlatan days. No love, no time, no patience for your charlatan game. It's too hard to start to undo these charlatan ways. I won't take more, now I'm done with all these charlatan days. Charlatan days. Charlatan days. No love, no time. Charlatan games. It's too hard to start. Charlatan ways. I won't take more, now I'm done with all these charlatan days. Charlatan days.